Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary, has been saying that one of the motivations for the US to pull back within Europe is that it needs to reassign forces to the Asia Pacific to face what he describes as the threat from China. What's your perspective on that?
I don't worry about that at all, because just imagine the United States could refocus on Indo-Pacific. So who can help the United States? Because the Biden administration has placed unprecedented, importance to allies, right? So Trump said America first, but for Biden, probably it's allies first. But in a war, in a hypothetical war with China, who can really help the United States? Japan is on top of the list, but according to the public opinion poll, there are just about 11% of people who support a direct confrontation with China. And then it goes down to Australia. Australia, yes, would buy 8 nuclear-powered submarines from the United States and Britain, but the current Australian government has made it quite clear that they would not be involved in conflict in Taiwan Strait. And then come to South Korea. South Korea would worry more about, Korean Peninsula. And on that, they definitely need support from Chinese government. And then the Philippines. The Philippines has provided 9 military bases that are just on the first chain of islands. That would have a tremendous military value for the United States. But even the Filipinos are not stupid, because they have laid down conditions for the United States to use these bases. And they just cannot store weapons there. They could just launch attacks from there. So until this moment, still, this is the policy. So no one's stupid. I don't believe that in a war between China and the U.S. in the Western Pacific, it is a sure thing that the United States can win. Actually, according to American think tanks, in most of the war games, the United States has actually lost to China.
So, one of the questions that Americans are asking themselves is, why is China building up its nuclear arsenal so rapidly? The fear is that it might be to serve as a backstop for the kind of war that could potentially emerge between the two superpowers at some point in the future. Why is China expanding its nuclear forces so fast? And will the Chinese be open to suggestions from Donald Trump, which he's been floating as well, that he would like to talk with the Chinese and with Vladimir Putin about arms control?
First of all, China is not really building its nuclear arsenal that fast, because 90% of the nuclear arsenal around the world still belong to 2 countries. So Russia and the United States.
It's still far behind, but it is still rapidly accelerating.
Yeah, but China do have good reasons, to increase its nuclear arsenals. Why? Because first of all, you should modernize your weaponries and equipment, as it happened to all kinds of weapons. So it does not mean that you can always do the maintenance work. I will give you an example. How do I feel personally about the war in Ukraine? Why NATO would not send any soldiers to fight against the Russians? I think Russia's nuclear deterrence has really played a critical role. Then I have to compare Russia with China. The United States doesn't seem to care that much be involved in a direct conflict with China as it would worry in a direct conflict with Russia. Why is that? Isn't it just because Russia has more nuclear weapons? China has more aircraft carriers than Russia. China's military is bigger than Russian military. And China's military budget is 3 times bigger than the Russian military. So why the United States seems to be less afraid of China? So I ask myself this question. Is it because that China has just a nuclear arsenal that is less than one-tenth of that of the United States? If that is the case, what we need is what? We need a political decision. Yeah, because China has a strong industry. China has a technical know-how, and as has been demonstrated in our ICBM launch, just several months ago, that our missiles are quite all right. So the only question for us is to increase the number or not. And some Americans actually have talked about using nuclear weapons against the Chinese in a conflict in Taiwan Strait. That is really, really alarming. And why would they say that? They say that because they feel that they actually have lost that advantage in a conventional warfare with China in Taiwan Strait. So they are just advocating using nuclear weapons against China.